Several questions remain unanswered. Who helped Seema cross the border? Why did Seema send friend requests to soldiers? What is Seema Haider's real story? Our top focus at 6 p.m. Prime.
Good evening. You're watching 6 p.m. Prime here on India Today. I'm Akshita, Nandagopal, and what we just showed you is a glimpse of what's coming up over the next 1 hour. It started off as a PUBG love story that went viral, and now questions are being raised on exactly who Seema Haider is, the woman who says that she came all the way to India for the love of her life. There are questions about her family members, about the documents that she's put up, all of which has raised one issue. Is Seema Haider a Pakistani spy who is currently in India? We're going to raise those questions and try to get you some of the answers. A look at the headlines first. Race for PM phase begins in India alliance. After Congress said not interested in PM post, TMC bats for Mamta. Nitish denies rift rumor, says India name has been given by consensus. Complete pandemonium in Karnataka Assembly over IAS officers at opposition meet. 10 BJP MLAs suspended, marshalled out. Former CM Bommai claims murder of democracy under Sidhu government. Bengaluru terror module busted. 5 suspected terrorists plotting blasts across city nabbed and sent to 7-day custody. Bomb-making material, weapons recovered. At least 16 killed and several left injured after transformer explodes at the Namami Gange project site in Uttarakhand's Chamoli. SDRF joins rescue operations. After wrestlers Bajrang and Vinesh exempted from Asian Games trials, wrestler Antim Pangal moves court, calls it unfair direct qualification. And another hit and drag horror from Ghaziabad. BJP MLA runs over man, drags him on the streets. Shocker caught on camera during social media interaction. As questions loom on Seema Haider and how she made her way into India, more, in fact, revelations that are coming to the fore as India Today is dug deeper. Our details, in fact, have exposed how Seema Haider's claim of being married to Sachin at a temple, at the Pashupati's Goeshwari temple, are not true. There is a board that's been put outside the temple that says entry is allowed only for Hindus. Seema being a Muslim, there are questions of how she managed to get in. Second, we've discovered here on India Today that there is no proof of their marriage. They've claimed that they got married at the Pashupati temple, and India Today visited this temple only to find that there is in fact no proof or no record of their marriage. Okay, we will be joined by Samarth in just a bit for the latest updates coming in from Nepal. In the meanwhile, let me also bring in Arvind Ojha, who's tracking the story very, very closely. Arvind, काफी सवाल इस सीमा हैदर के बैकग्राउंड के बारे में उठ रहे हैं. अभी उनकी शादी के बारे में भी काफी सवाल आ रहे हैं.
नहीं, बिल्कुल शादी को लेकर सवाल आ रहा है और सवाल जो सीमा के जितने भी दावे थे ड्यूरिंग इन्वेस्टिगेशन नोएडा पुलिस के सामने, उन सारे दावों पर अब जो ATS है वो इन्वेस्टिगेशन कर रही है. और खुद इंडिया टुडे की टीम जो समर श्रीवास्तव हैं वो खुद काठमांडू में पहुंचे. उस होटल में जहां पर जो सीमा और सचिन रुके थे, वहां पर होटल के जो मैनेजर है उसने खुलासा किया कि उन्होंने नाम बदला हुआ था और नाम बदलकर उन्होंने होटल रूम बुक किया था। उसके अलावा वो उस जगह पर भी गए जहां पर सीमा ने यह दावा किया था कि उसने वहां पर शादी की थी, वहां मुस्लिम अलाउड नहीं है। उसके अलावा इंडिया टुडे ने बातचीत की जो सीमा के हस्बैंड है जो फिलहाल सऊदी अरब है, गुलाम हैदर, उसने खुलासा किया कि जो सीमा का भाई है आसिफ, वो पाकिस्तान रेंजर है, यानी पाकिस्तान आर्मी में है। साथ ही साथ जो सीमा के चाचा हैं वो इस्लामाबाद में आर्मी में बड़े पोस्ट पर तैनात है। इस पाकिस्तानी आर्मी कनेक्शन का सीमा से जो कनेक्शन है उसको लेकर एटीएस की टीम पूछताछ कर रही है। बैक टू बैक 2 दिन उससे लगातार पूछताछ हुई है। अभी तक कुछ भी क्लियरिटी नहीं हो पाई है कि जो एटीएस की टीम है वो सीमा से लगातार पूछताछ कर रही है, लेकिन अभी तक कुछ क्लियरिटी नहीं है। काफी कुछ ऐसी चीजें हैं जो इन्वेस्टिगेशन में क्लियर होनी है और इस वजह से सीमा को एक सेफ हाउस में एटीएस की टीम ने रखा हुआ है और उससे लगातार इंटरोगेशन जो है वो की जा रही है।
So we'll track the latest that comes in on the interrogation as well. Arvind, stay on with us. I want to play out a report by my colleague Samat Srivastava, who is in Nepal, filed this report from the Pashupati temple that confirms that Seema and Sachin didn't get married there as she claimed.
So India Today TV team has reached at the Gueshwari temple. First you see the visuals of this iconic temple of Nepal, which is quite known for marriages in large numbers, and that's why it has a connection with Seema Haider and Sachin. It was said, it was found in the police interrogation that both tied knot in the Pashupati temple, which is connected with this particular temple. But when India Today TV investigated out here, they found no such clue with Sachin being having tied knot with Seema Haider. This is that particular office where the documents were stored, but nothing was found. No name was registered in the name of Sachin and Seema. While in the investigation, both accepted that they tied knot in this particular temple. While during investigating in the hotel, India Today TV found that there was even no mention in the entry register of Sachin and Seema. The question now arises, if everything is all right, if they both are just lovebirds, have fallen in love from across the border, then what's the need, what's the emergence of hiding their names, getting into the hotel with a different name, or tying knot in a temple with no registry? That's a bigger question for the agencies. With cameraman Neeraj Kumar, Samarth Srivastav, Kathmandu, India Today.
So that's a report that Samat Srivastava filed for us. Let me round up for you all the revelations that have come to the fore that have only raised more questions really on Seema Haider and who she really is. First, Seema had befriended several Delhiites on social media. Remember, currently she was living in Greater Noida, very close to the national capital. Reportedly, and this is extremely worrying, Seema had also sent across friend requests to Indian soldiers as well. For obvious reasons, for security reasons, their identity hasn't been put out. But there were attempts by Seema to get in touch with Indian soldiers, and this was on social media. Now, she has 2 passports, and that also has raised serious questions about her identity. It's not just about the fact that she has 2 passports. Her identity card, her national identity card, was made just last year in September 2022, was made with the sole intention of ensuring she had some proof of ID before she came into India to claim that she is a Pakistani normal citizen. And if you look at really her passport details, which we've accessed here on India Today, there's a clear discrepancy in her age and her date of birth. It clearly doesn't match up, and add to that is the fact that in her ID, her son's ID, her husband's ID, all of their birthdays are the same, Jan 1st. Now, WhatsApp chats also from her phone have been deleted. That again has raised serious questions about what Seema Haider has been up to. Who is she talking to? Who is she in touch with from Pakistan? There's also no clarity on any of the property that she owned in Pakistan, which she reportedly sold before she came down to India. Those documents, paper trail, all of that completely missing at this point. So let's in fact focus on Seema Haider's journey in Nepal. Remember that she claimed that she and Sachin got married in Nepal, that they met once before this after they had briefly interacted during the game PUBG. Now, according to her, they stayed in a hotel room, from where they also posted several reels on social media. We visited that hotel room to find out once again that Seema hadn't offered any ID at the hotel to prove her documentation, to prove her identity. Let's get you a ground report now.
They met on gaming app PUBG and got married in Nepal. The curious case of Seema Haider has the country in a spell. The Pakistani woman who married a 22-year-old Indian Kirana shop helper Sachin Meena from Greater Noida stayed at this hotel in Kathmandu, from where they churned out one Insta reel after the other of their wedding. India Today reached Hotel New Vinayak, where Seema and Sachin's saga began. Seema, who entered India illegally in May, stayed in room number 204 with Sachin for 7 days.
ये वो कमरा है, कमरा नंबर 204, जिसको लेकर तमाम खबरें आई, तमाम बातें हुई, पूछताछ में भी बताया गया। और यहीं पर कई सारे रील्स भी बनाए हैं, जिसमें एक दो रील्स में आपको दिखेगा सचिन सिंदूर लगा रहे हैं। और सीमा जो पाकिस्तानी महिला है, जिस पर शक है लोगों को कहीं वो ISI एजेंट तो नहीं है, वो कितना आम तरीके से बिहेव कर रही थी आम लोगों के साथ, फिर वो चाहे होटल रिसेप्शनिस्ट हों, मैनेजर्स हों, और फिर चाहे इस कमरे में ज़्यादा समय बिताना हो या फिर नेपाल के पब्स और क्लब्स में उसकी जाने की चाहत हो।
The couple apparently did not furnish any identity documents. Instead, they're reported to have given fake names to book a room in the hotel.
वो लोग पहले सचिन आए थे, तो कुछ दिन के बाद वो भी लड़की भी आई थी, जो सीमा है वो आई थी, तो वो लोग एक हफ्ते तक बैठे यहाँ पर। डेट के हिसाब से जो किया था तो अभी यहाँ पर नहीं मिल रहे। मैंने ये तो किया था, लेकिन कौन सी नाम दिया वो मेरे को आइडिया नहीं है।
The couple also visited the Pashupati Nath temple in Kathmandu. According to officials in the Uttar Pradesh police, Seema claims she arrived in India on board a bus from Nepal with her 4 children to live with Sachin, her 22-year-old lover from Greater Noida. The central investigation agencies, however, have not been able to confirm this claim of Seema entering India through the India-Nepal border on the 13th of May. With Samar Srivastav in Kathmandu, Nepal, Bureau Report, India Today.
I want to bring in now Samar Srivastava, who's joining us live from Kathmandu in Nepal. Samar, good evening. You've been traveling to several pockets of Kathmandu where Seema claimed that she had visited with Sachin. Tell us about all of the lies that you've really busted, or at least clearly needs more proof being provided by Seema, whether it's about her marriage or where she and Sachin spent the time together in a hotel.
See, it seems to be a big nexus if you talk about the Kathmandu case, if you talk about the Nepal nexus from where it all started. Firstly, Seema Haider from Sharjah entered this particular Nepal airport where she took a cab for that particular area, and then she got another bus and then she moved from Pokhara to Greater Noida. But things are not that simple, because when India Today TV reached that particular hotel where these both, that means Sachin and Seema Haider, stayed for around 7 days, there was no record whatsoever in the register. There was no mention of name, be it of Seema Haider or of that particular guy Sachin. When I asked the receptionist Ganesh out there, he clarified that they might have written their name with some other name, and also it is worth mentioning out here that no ID was taken from that hotel, though it is said in that particular locality of Kathmandu that because there's a complete nexus of a lot of hotels out there, and they usually don't take IDs from Indians, so that has become a major escape point for the Seema Haider. And it was Sachin who firstly came at the hotel for the booking of the room, and later a day after Seema Haider came, and then they stayed for around 7 long days. And also receptionist told India Today TV that most of the time they remained inside the hotel and hardly they came out to move. Though Seema Haider was interested in the pubs and clubs of Nepal, but when receptionists and hotel guys claimed and informed her about the things that Indians used to get hurt in those particular areas, she denied going there, and later the duo stayed in that particular area for around 7 days. And that was not a day one thing, because it happened from 10th of March and later again in May.
There's another question here, Samar.
Came again via this particular area from Nepal border.
That's the next question. You know, how did she enter from Nepal into India along the border? Did she get help from someone? Is that an aspect also that's being investigated and looked into?
See, that's the biggest point, how she entered, because if you talk about the checking points, she got the visa of Nepal when she entered Nepal, but she has no visa of India, because getting the visa from Pakistan from coming to India is not that easy thing in this area. So that's why it became very significant, and how Sachin helped Seema Haider to cross the border. The question also arises on the SSB, because UP ATS and UP police have also asked for the report from SSB, like how they crossed the Nepal border. Nepal border is around 450 kilometers, and how could it happen that no checking took place and a Pakistani national in the name of Seema Haider crossed from that UP border, be it from Gorakhpur, Maharajganj, Balrampur, Bareilly, all these districts are aligned along the Indo-Nepal border, and from there she reached Greater Noida with a bus. So that's a bigger nexus, because we have to find out like how it's possible to cross the border where SSB is already stationed, because we can assume that she could have came Nepal with a proper visa and then she took a cab. That is quite easy thing. But when she took a bus from Pokhara for Greater Noida, then when that bus of Pokhara crossed the Indian border, was there no checkpoint? Was there no questioning from the passengers, like from where they have come from, which country, whatsoever? So
and
that
these are questions that clearly need to be answered, not just by Seema Haider, who's currently being questioned, but also with regards to what kind of security has been deployed along the Indo-Nepal border that's so easy for a woman to cross over without having any proper documentation. Samar, thanks very much for getting us those live updates from Kathmandu. Samar, digging in deep there and getting you all the details, the revelations that have come to the fore as far as the Seema Haider case is concerned. But there are, at this point, several questions that remain unanswered even now. For example, let's in fact sum up for you questions that hope we will get answers to as Seema Haider's questioning continues by the UP ATS. What's the motive behind sending friend requests on social media to Indian soldiers? There are questions being asked whether this was an attempt to honey trap and then get solid defense secrets from India. How did Seema Haider enter India illegally? One of the most basic questions being asked right now, and perhaps something that our forces also along the Indo-Nepal border will have to give clarity on. Besides that, another question also is about her illegal documentation, whether it's the fact that her ID card was made in September 2022, or that she has 2 passports, or her birthdays are all mixed up. That is another question about whether she got these illegal documents made just to the purpose of coming down to India. How did Seema Haider have half a dozen mobile phones? It's come to light that she had 6 mobile phones over the course of the last few months, and in many of them she's deleted WhatsApp chats as well in order to hide many of the conversations that she's had. Now, because of the mix-up as far as her IDs, her documents are concerned, there is no clarity on exactly who Seema Haider is, or for that matter, basic details of her age and educational qualification, which is all over the place if you look at her documentation. And hopefully, with the interrogation continuing now by the Uttar Pradesh ATS, we will get some answers to all of these questions. But if you haven't tracked the story so far of how Seema Haider weeks ago entered into India from Nepal, along with her 4 kids, mind you, all of this to meet Sachin, who was based in Greater Noida, saying that this was because she was in love with him. She wanted to be reunited with him. Let's round up for you all those details of what's transpired in the last few weeks that's now led to doubts about whether this is an innocent Pakistani woman in search of love or if she's a spy.
From the virtual battlefields of PUBG, from Karachi in Pakistan to Rabupura in Greater Noida, via Kathmandu in Nepal. 27-year-old Seema Haider's daring trek to marry her lover, 5 years younger, with her 4 children in tow. Now a subject of intense investigation.
दो राष्ट्रों के बीच जुड़ा हुआ है, इसमें जब तक पर्याप्त साक्ष्य नहीं मिल जाते कुछ भी कहना उचित नहीं। तो अगर हमारा बॉर्डर पोरस है और उसके लिए कोई पासपोर्ट की आवश्यकता नहीं है तो इसलिए इस तरह की चीजें लेकिन एक पाकिस्तानी नागरिक नहीं, ये तो किसी के चेहरे पे तो कुछ लिखा नहीं।
Uttar Pradesh's Anti-Terror Squad questioned the Pakistani woman sneaking into India via Nepal for 9 hours on Tuesday. Multiple agencies involved in cross-examining her claims. The Karachi-based Haider allegedly met Sachin Meena of Greater Noida a couple of years ago. Already married in 2014, her husband working in Saudi Arabia, she first met Meena in Nepal in March. Stayed with him in this hotel for a couple of days. Travelled to Nepal again in May. This time with her 4 children. She took a bus and crossed into India to reunite with her lover. Haider allegedly sold a property back in Karachi to fund her trip. But the investigating agencies aren't taking this story on its face value. Intriguing revelations tumble out of the ongoing probe. The Pakistani national holds not one but 2 passports. Number HZ0004421 and HZ0004422. Discrepancies found in her age and birth date. Pakistani authorities seem to have issued Seema Haider her national identity card in September 2022. These documents in general made available months after the birth. In her case, she got her Pakistani national identity less than a year ago. 2 passports in Pakistan. A bus from Pokhara to Uttar Pradesh to reach Greater Noida. Evading the keen eye of the Sashastra Seema Bal along the India-Nepal border. She carried all travel documents, but left one of the phones and a laptop she used in Pakistan behind. And when India Today spoke to her estranged husband, a laborer in Saudi Arabia, Ghulam Haider claimed Seema Haider's brother is a Pakistani border guard.
ये जो सीमा हैदर इसके भाई का नाम आसिफ है ना? तो आसिफ कहाँ है अभी, किसमें है, कहाँ काम करते हैं?
इधर ड्यूटी है इसका, कोई रेंजर्स में है इधर कराची में।
क्या पाकिस्तान रेंजर्स में है, फौजी हैं? और इनके जो चाचा है सीमा के,
वो गुलाम अकबर, वो भी बड़े उधर में इस्लामाबाद में, पता नहीं लाहौर में।
कहाँ पे है?
इस्लामाबाद।
Seema Haider's speech, her language skills. A Pakistani woman from the Sindh province dressing up like a rural woman from India's Hindi heartland. Investigators are leaving nothing to chance. Agencies suspect that Pakistani handlers might have taken professional help to give Seema Haider a makeover in order for her to slip into India without detection. Seema Haider's purported affidavit from 2014 in India Today's possession, the woman in this document accused her parents of greed. She testified that she left her home to live with Ghulam Haider because her parents wanted to marry her off with someone else against her wishes. And now she has left Ghulam Haider for Sachin Meena in India. Out on bail, but not off the hook. Seema Haider, an unconventional lover, or a Pakistani spy out to set up base in Uttar Pradesh? Over to the investigating agencies to get to the bottom of her saga. With Arvind Ojha, Bureau Report, India Today.
And with that, I'm slipping into a short break here on 6 p.m. Prime. Coming up on the other side, we're putting the focus on what's playing out in Karnataka. Non-stop ruckus in the state assembly as BJP MLAs stormed the well of the house, questioning why IAS officers were used for the opposition meet. It led to several of them being carried out, as you see on your screens.
How many more lives? How many more houses? How many more vehicles? How many more villages? Annual nightmare drowns the north. India Today reports from every spot.
There are small children who are living in these houses, and this is the national capital we are talking about.
Each and every household, that's what we can see.
The holy shrine that saved Mandi from a disaster.
We report, we demand, we fix accountability. Maximum reporters, maximum coverage, monsoon mayhem.
India's digital public infrastructure, which is also the UPI that they call the Unified Payment Interface, and also CBDC, which is the central bank's digital currency. Do you see South Africa collaborating with India on this in the future? Singapore, Indonesia?
Part of the discussion in the BRICS is that payment system. So South Africa will definitely be collaborating with India through that, but I think we've got to move beyond that, go at a bilateral level.
What have been the key outcomes of the discussion so far?
I think the broad discussions around of partner interest to developing nations' debt restructuring are progressing very well. We've got, in terms of a common framework, we've done Zambia now, we're waiting for an MOU. We expect an appointment of another creditors team to look at Ghana, which is quite an important development for us. The second issue is the evolution of the Multinational Development Bank and the banks to structure them in such a manner that they can take the development challenges facing our nations in the 21st.
Gaming. That is what took the center stage at the launch of the new iQOO Neo 7 Pro 5G smartphone. Let's deep dive into this gaming smartphone and see what's in store for the gamers. First things first, it is powered by the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 processor from last year. Now, it may be last year's chip, but it benchmarked really well on all the phones. Now the iQOO Neo 7 Pro 5G also has an independent gaming chip, which in conjunction with the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 is amazing for the gaming capabilities. With this powerful combination, I tried 3 games: Genshin Impact, New State, as well as Asphalt 9. Now all 3 games played pretty well. There were a few drop rates in Genshin Impact, but that's a pretty heavy game. So let's see how these games look on this device. With this powerful combination, I managed to achieve a consistent 90 frames per second on the new PUBG game at ultra graphics setting. Although the coveted 120 frames per second mark remained elusive, the iQOO Neo 7 Pro's cooling system played its part in maintaining stable thermals during extended gaming session. And here you can see Asphalt 9 racing game running without any hiccups. Also present is a dual speaker setup, which immerses you in any game or media consumption. And the 120Hz refresh rate keeps everything super snappy. Battery life, that's the next question that comes to mind when playing these heavy intensive games. And this phone comes with 5000 mAh battery, but it's the charging speed that might blow your socks off. Now I'll just take a quick coffee break, and until then my phone is charging with the 120-watt charger that will charge my phone 50% in just 8 minutes. Let's see what happens. Now that I'm done with my coffee break, my phone is all charged up thanks to the 120-watt fast charger.
Serious gaming enthusiasts in the same price range can look out for the Xbox Series S, which is a dedicated gaming console. Hence, you would have a great pro gaming experience. Similarly, in smartphones, the Realme GT2 Pro and OnePlus 11R could be an alternative in the same price range.
Wrapping it up, the iQOO Neo 7 Pro is for all you gaming enthusiasts who are looking for a gaming phone but do not want to break the bank. This phone comes in at sub 40,000 rupees. Stay tuned to Tech Today for more such technology updates.
Welcome back. Let's get you all the drama playing out currently in the Karnataka Assembly. BJP MLAs who were marshalled out of the Assembly after storming the well of the House have now been detained. That includes former Chief Minister Basuraj Bommai, who was literally carried away from that protest site by officials as he was denied permission to continue his agitation. What's also very interesting to note here, look at the images on the left of your screens. Alongside all of the BJP MLAs is HD Kumaraswamy, also seated there protesting in solidarity with BJP MLAs. And this, no doubt, is going to add fuel to the speculation that HD Kumaraswamy is all set to join the NDA, is all set to join hands with the BJP in the 2024 battle. Let's play out for you a reaction now from the former Chief Minister, from HD Kumaraswamy, on why he's joined this protest by the BJP.
We are hearing former Chief Minister Kumaraswamy, who has joined the protest along with the BJP MLAs. Sir, how do you see this particular decision from the Speaker, who has suspended 10 BJP MLAs for protesting inside the well?
This is today's incident. Today's incident in the floor, really the decision taken by the Speaker and the government. It is really a childish behaviors and the shameful decision regarding our democracy.
Sir, if you notice that they say that this is the unacceptable behavior in the floor of House, tearing the paper, tearing the bill.
This kind of development, several time incident took place on the floor. Tearing the paper, several times it has taken place. But because of that incident, this kind of decision was not taken by any speaker or any government.
You and BJP passed a no confidence motion against the Speaker. How will you continue the protest?
Because of his decision taken in favor of one ruling party, not protecting the opposition interests, opposition demands. For that, actually, we are moving the no confidence motion.
Will you continue the protest along with the BJP on the same?
We will jointly going to fight, because this is the demolishing the democratic system by this government. For that, we are jointly will fight it out.
Irrespective of party.
Irrespective of party.
Let's take this across now to Sagai Raj for more details. Sagai, interesting developments coming in right now from Karnataka. We understand that BJP MLAs now have been picked up in holds and detained, including Basuraj Bommai. What's also grabbed eyeballs is HD Kumaraswamy joining that protest.
Absolutely, both the parties moved together the no confidence motion against the Speaker, and we have seen that HD Kumaraswamy, the former Chief Minister and JDS Supreme, joined hands with BJP leaders who were protesting on the stairs of Vidhan Saudha. Their contention is very simple, that Kumaraswamy went on to say that it is a destruction of democracy by suspending these MLAs, and he has also hit out at Speaker, saying that it is a childish behavior by MLA. On the other side, the BJP MLAs claim that this is Taliban government, they cannot treat MLAs like that, you cannot marshal out them MLAs like that. We have seen in the past that how DK Shivakumar has stored the bill on the floor of House. We have seen how Zamir Ahmad protested on chairs and tried to nab the speaker's microphone when they were in power when they were in the opposition in the past. So they have pointed out all those past instances, saying that when Congress was in opposition, they have done all these things inside the house, but no action was taken, nobody were suspended. But why they have to target the BJP? In fact, one of the MLAs, Ashwat Narayan, went on to say that it is abusive of power. He has also cited that last time when there was session in Belagavi, DK Shivkumar tore anti-conversion bill when it was tabled in the floor of House. He said that he tore the bill, they protested inside the bill, they also tore the bill, but no action taken because there is democracy. We upheld democracy at that point of time, but when they are in ruling, they are trying to behave like Taliban. They are abusing their power and they are trying to marshal out everybody from the floor of House.
All right, Sagai, thanks for getting us all of those details. Let's round up the updates coming in right now from the Karnataka Assembly. 10 BJP MLAs have been suspended after they stormed the well of the House. All of this drama playing out after the BJP objected to IAS officers being deployed on duty for the opposition meet that just concluded in Bengaluru yesterday. It was over this that protests break out in the Karnataka Assembly. And you had these scenes playing out of BJP MLAs being marshalled out, being carried out as well. Now, there was an incident, a dramatic incident of Basnagowda Yatnal falling, in fact, becoming unconscious because of all of the drama that played out in the assembly, and he had to be ushered out in an ambulance as well. So, unprecedented drama playing out in the Karnataka Assembly. Let's get you some of those reactions.
We are asking for justice and misuse of IAS officers in the protocol which are treated as a chaprasi in front of non-entity leaders who are on bail. They were unable to give answer. They misused the chair of the speaker. Such incidents have happened previously. This is the dictatorship attitude of Siddaramaiah, Hitler-Shahi, murder of democracy and suppressing the voice of the opposition. And people are all seeing this. We will take to the people. People are already electing such undemocratic dictatorship government.
We'll continue tracking what's playing out in the Karnataka Assembly closely. I'm slipping into a very short break. On the other side, all the details coming your way on how the Bengaluru police busted a clear terror attack that was planned in the city. Details on exactly what the terror plot was coming your way.
A giant stride by what was once a fractious opposition. 26 parties from the BJP camp across India co-opt India for their new nomenclature.
Earlier, we worked with UPA. Now, with all 26 parties, a new name is given, that is Indian National Developmental Inclusive Alliance.
India, an acronym for the Indian National Development Inclusive Alliance. Insiders say the naming of what's officially now a unified coalition of 26 parties was proposed by Congress leader Rahul Gandhi.
The fight is about two different ideas of India. And while we were having this discussion, this name frankly emerged from the discussion because we asked ourselves, what is the fight? Who is the fight between? And we realized the fight is not between two political formations. The fight is a fight to defend the idea of India.
The sun sets on the UPA, the United Progressive Alliance, which ruled the country from 2004 to 2014. The day dawns on the Indian National Development Inclusive Alliance, or India, which seeks to unseat the BJP-led NDA in 2024. The formalized opposition alliance will have its own secretariat in the national capital.
And what we are doing here as a group is we are defending the Indian Constitution. We're defending the voice of the Indian people. We're defending the idea of our great country, the idea of India.
TMC leader Mamata Banerjee, former Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray also emphasized the metaphor in the new name.
इंडिया जीतेगा, भाजपा हारेगा. भारत जीतेगा, भाजपा हारेगा.
तानाशाही के खिलाफ जनता इकट्ठा हो रही है. कुछ लोगों को ऐसे लग रहा है कि परिवार के लिए लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं. हाँ, देश हमारा परिवार है और इस परिवार के लिए हम लड़ रहे हैं. देश ही हमारा परिवार है.
The India coalition will next meet in Mumbai. An 11-member coordination committee will then be set up to chalk out future course of action, including seat sharing, campaign plans and the leadership issue.
सीट शेयरिंग को लेके एक बड़ा मसला है कि आप लोग सीट शेयरिंग कैसे करेंगे और प्रधानमंत्री इसको करप्ट अलायंस घोषित कर रहे हैं कि नेशनल करप्ट अलायंस है.
देखिए, ये कोई बड़ी बात नहीं. मैंने कहा कि 11 लोगों की कमेटी जो बना रहे हैं उसमें ये सब डिस्कशन होगा और सीट शेयरिंग तो एक हो जाएगा. जहाँ कैसा करना ये हमारे अभी सभी नेता लोग मिलके और कमेटी मिलके वो तय करेगी. उसकी कोई बड़ी बात नहीं.
Let's do this. Welcome to Threads. That was the first post from Mark Zuckerberg as he launched his new rival to Twitter. Within hours, 10 million people had signed up. Those quick to join included celebrities like Kim Kardashian and Jennifer Lopez. Brands like HBO and Netflix also launched accounts within minutes. Threads looks pretty familiar. It's built around text posts of up to 500 characters, while users can also post pictures and videos up to 5 minutes long. It's all meant to take advantage of the chaos at Twitter since it was taken over by Elon Musk. And it has one big advantage. People can sign in with their existing username from Instagram, also owned by Meta. Since Instagram claims to have over 2 billion users, that could enable Threads to gain serious scale very quickly. It also benefits from Instagram's advertising system, meaning it could draw dollars away from its rival. Threads is available in Apple's App Store and Google's Play Store. Some new users were quick to predict Twitter's demise, but Zuckerberg advised caution. He said this was just the opening moment of the first round. But the fight is definitely on.
Welcome back. Let's get you details right now of the Bengaluru terror plot that was busted by the police, by the CCB. The FIR has now been registered in this case. Remember that 5 suspected terrorists have been taken into custody. Now, in the FIR that's been registered by the police right now, there are 7 people who've been named. They've been booked under the stringent UAPA, the Anti-Terror Act, as well as criminal conspiracy of the IPC and other sections. The accused have also been booked under the Arms Act. This comes after, amid the seizures, there were several arms that were recovered by the cops as well. The FIR was registered based on the complaint of the Assistant Commissioner of Police of the Central Crime Branch. So the accused individuals who were arrested had been in contact with an anti-national group, with terror groups that were based in Bengaluru's Parappana Agrahara prison. It's suspected that a terror accused named T. Nazar, who's already behind bars, was actually the mastermind of this terror plot. But let's get you all the details that have been put out by the Bengaluru police on this particular case. Now, these suspected terrorists were planning a terror plot, reportedly to go ahead and target a Bengaluru bus, a BMTC bus in the city. This was busted by the cops, who also managed to get this huge cache of arms and ammunition. It's raised a larger question, however, of whether we're seeing rising incidents of terror in South India.
A big terror plot foiled. 5 suspects arrested. Mobile phones, pistols and ammunition recovered. The Bengaluru police claim to have thwarted multiple blasts targeted at India's IT city. The 5 in custody, Suhail, Omar, Zahid, Mudassir and Faisal, are all from Bengaluru and aged between 25 and 35. They were previously accused in a murder case in 2017 and were in jail for 18 months. From mobile phones to guns, police are claiming major recoveries from the suspects. A hunt is on for a 6th suspect identified as Junaid.
We have arrested 5 accused in this connection. The preliminary information or the interrogation of these 5 accused who have been secured indicates that all these 5 persons, along with another person who is absconding and who is likely to be abroad now, they were involved in a murder case of 2017 in Bangalore City, RT Nagar police station.
According to the police, the terror suspects were planning to target the Bengaluru public transport. The police allege the mastermind behind the plot is Lashkar-e-Taiba operative T. Nasir, a terror accused who is currently lodged in the Bengaluru Central Jail.
When they were inside jail, under trial prisoners regarding this case, they came in contact with T. Nazir, one of the main accused in 2008 Syrian blast case. And T. Nazir, it is seems to have radicalized these individuals for the purpose of carrying out certain subversive activities in Bangalore city.
Slamming the law and order situation in Karnataka, former Karnataka Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai has demanded the case be handed over to the NIA.
The general law and order situation in Bangalore, in the state, and regarding crime, control of crime, this government has really utterly failed.
As of now, we have an efficient policing system here. We have mechanisms to deal with terrorism here. We will do that. Why is BJP always in a hurry? They don't trust the same very officers that they had a month back.
It remains to be seen if the NIA, the Central Agency for Terror Investigations, will be roped in to probe the Bengaluru probe. Bureau Report, India Today.
That's all we have time for in this edition of 6 p.m. Prime. Thanks very much for tuning in. Coming up on the other side is Mission 2024 with Preeti Chaudhary. She's going to be focusing on the latest updates coming in on the India versus NDA war. Is all well within there's 26 parties that have decided to unite. There seem to be some differences over the name and the PM face. We'll get you details on that.
The Indian Institute of Technology, the country's premier engineering college, is going overseas. IIT Madras is setting up its first ever international campus in Zanzibar in Tanzania. Professor Preeti Aghalayam, an IIT graduate herself, will be the director of the institute. The first time a woman has been appointed to the top post at IIT Madras.
The type of opportunities women have and the type of aspirations that we can hope for while being on campus have improved dramatically. I know that it's possible as long as we work together as a team and ensuring that when they graduate with our degree far away in Zanzibar, they have the whole world open to them.
Classes at the IIT Madras Zanzibar campus will begin from October with a student intake of 70. According to the IIT, 2 full-time programs will be offered in Zanzibar, a 4-year BSc in Data Science and Artificial Intelligence and a 2-year MTech in Data Science and Artificial Intelligence. The admission process will include screening test and interview.
We have a temporary campus right now that the government has allotted to us. The rooms are all built, so the administrative side, classrooms and also student accommodation, shared accommodation in dorms, everything is there already. We are facilitating a few modifications so that it will be 100% ready in October, which is when we are planning to start. But we are going to evolve the academic plan and have a lot more programs in the coming years as well.
The international campus in Zanzibar Island off the East African mainland is planned as an educational partnership between India and Tanzania. India is also offering scholarships for citizens of Tanzania to study in various degree programs at IIT Madras.
I believe that this educational bond will ensure that we stay strong, and it's a strategic kind of move. It could be a strategic move for the country. We'll have Zanzibari Tanzanian alumni who are from IIT Madras. They do so many good things in terms of contribution to the world and to the world's economy. We hope that this will happen over here as well.
With Shilpa Nair, Bureau Report, India Today.
When Seema Haider reached India, she declared that she had married Sachin in Nepal itself and that she had accepted Hinduism. In India, Seema Haider was seen practicing all rituals of a Hindu married woman, even puja and bhajans. A Muslim woman from Pakistan leaving her husband, living in India and adopting Hinduism. For the radical Muslims of Pakistan, this was no less than a crime. And so the frustrated fundamentalists started threatening the Hindu community in Pakistan. Make no mistake, this was no empty threat. The rocket launchers that were used by Pakistani terrorists are now being used on Hindu temples. However, Pakistan is claiming that the attack on Hindu temple was the handiwork of local dacoits. Reports suggest a gang of dacoits attacked a temple in Pakistan's southern Sindh province. The attack was carried out in the Kashmir area where rocket launchers were fired at Hindu temples and houses. Fortunately, the temple was closed. It is maintained by the Bagdi community and is opened only once a year. Kashmir police says 8 to 9 people were involved in the attack. Pakistan police also suspect that this attack may be linked to Seema Haider's PUBG love story, as fundamentalists had threatened the Hindu community. A similar attack took place a few days ago when bulldozers demolished a Hindu shrine. This is not the first time Hindus have been under attack in Pakistan, in the Sindh province especially. Hindus are systematically persecuted and forcibly converted. Bureau Report, India Today.
Why does this happen? Let me tell you the science behind it.
For more informative videos like this, keep watching India Today News.
jumping on a weighing machine. Each time, do you feel bloated or fat? I felt the same until some time ago when I realized that the number on the scale is only worthy of worry if you have extra fat or excess weight gain, which means if you don't have extra fat and you are healthy, you don't need to worry.
Which means that if you are healthy and do not have excess fat, some weight gain is not something to lose sleep over. More than often, you would hear people stressing about gaining extra kilograms and happy if they lose these kilos. Fat gain has become synonymous with weight gain, but they are not the same things. Weight loss refers to a reduction in your overall body weight, including muscle, water, and fat loss. As far as fat loss is concerned, it refers to weight loss from the body fat. Simply put, it refers to the overall drop in the overall kilogram weight. There are a number of things that can affect weight fluctuation on a daily basis, such as hormonal imbalance, varying sodium intake, different amounts of dietary fiber and food. Fat loss refers to weight loss from the fat, and it is more specific and healthful goal than weight loss. In fact, fat loss consists of losing weight while maintaining as much muscle mass as possible, which will allow you to look more toned and get that fit look. So if simply put, fat loss is equal to reduction or burning of the stored body weight. What is the difference between weight loss and fat loss? So what should you aim for? What is healthy, fat loss or weight loss? Weight loss can be on the top of your goal, but for a healthier body composition, fat loss is the one you should be aiming for. Aiming to achieve fat loss could also help get rid of excess fat, which is potentially dangerous, but also maintains a lean tissue growth. Muscle
Good evening, you're watching Mission 2024. We're going to get you the very latest on the newly minted alliance, India and the internal factionalism, which has already but started. I'm Preeti Chaudhary. These are the headlines. Race for Prime Minister face begins in India alliance after Congress said not interested in Prime Minister's post. TMC bats for Mamta. Nitish denies rift rumor, says India name given by consensus. Complete pandemonium outside Karnataka Assembly as BJP protests against alleged misuse of IAS officers. 10 BJP MLAs suspended, erstwhile Chief Minister Bommai detained. JDS joins BJP protest. Bangalore terror module busted. 5 suspected terrorists plotted blast across city, nabbed and sent to 7-day custody. Bomb-making material, weapons recovered. Sensational revelations in the Seema Haider probe. In a mega exclusive, India Today tracks down Nepal hotel where Seema saga began. Sources suggest Seema sent army jawans friend requests. At least 16 and several left injured after a transformer explodes at Namami Gange project site in Uttarakhand's Chamoli. SDRF joins rescue operations. After wrestlers Bajrang and Vinesh exempted from Asian Games trials, wrestler Antim Pangal moves court, calls it unfair. It's just a day after 26 opposition parties banded together as India. The internal factionalism seems to have begun on many levels. It seems that it's a new name, but the old contradictions still seem to exist. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar has now put speculations to rest over him being upset on how things panned out at the opposition summit in Bengaluru. Of course, he's come out and said that he might have had a different choice where the name India was concerned, but the name was picked by consensus. However, there is a train of thought which goes on to suggest that Nitish Kumar and Lalu left earlier because Nitish seemingly feeling a little cut up of the fact that the Congress is now taking center stage. Possibly he was initially the sutradhar of bringing together the entire opposition together. Is the Congress running away with the credit of sorts? However, Nitish on camera rubbished rumours of him being upset, making it clear that the name India is by consensus, and he's not upset, further alleging that it was false propaganda spread by the BJP. All of this comes after the BJP claimed that there were already cracks in the India alliance after Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar decided to return early from the opposition meeting in Bengaluru and being sidelined.
सर विपक्ष कर रहे हैं नाराज होकर आप चले आए विपक्ष कर रहे हैं बीजेपी के लोग कर रहे हैं आप नाराज होकर
यही सब बात है फालतू चीजें बोला अरे हमारा तो मन राजगीर का कर रहा था वहाँ काम कर लिए हमको लग रहा था यहाँ का बातें नहीं समझते क्या करिएगा
बीजेपी के लोग
सबको छोड़ने दीजिए उसके कभी चक्कर में लगिएगा वहाँ तक मीटिंग वोटिंग करके जो बात हो गया वो कोई जरूरी है कि वहाँ पर बैठ करके कुछ
कई तरह के दुष्प्रचार हुए हैं पिछले कई दिनों में कभी हुआ कि जनता दल यू का आरजेडी का विलय होगा और अब चला रहा है नीतीश कुमार जी नाराज हैं काहे का नीतीश कुमार जी नाराज होंगे नीतीश कुमार जी विपक्षी एकता के सूत्रधार हैं और सूत्रधार कभी नाराज नहीं होता इंडिया सबों की सहमति से नाम तय हुआ है
कहीं न कहीं तो नाराजगी जरूर है क्योंकि देखिए प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस मीटिंग का ये हिस्सा था और उसमें अखिलेश यादव का भाग नहीं लेना जबकि समाजवादी पार्टी के 5 लोग गए थे वहां मीटिंग के अंदर और नीतीश जी के साथ भी 4-5 लोग गए थे लालू जी थे ललन सिंह थे सारे लोग थे और फिर प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में भाग नहीं लेने से क्या जल्दबाजी थी कोई विस्तारा या एयर इंडिया की फ्लाइट तो थी नहीं चार्टर प्लेन लेकर गए थे तो उस चार्टर प्लेन के बाद तो जब भी चाहते वो आ सकते थे लेकिन हम लोग को जो भीतरी जानकारी मिल रही है कांग्रेस सूत्रों से वो चाहते थे कि इसी बैठक में उनके लिए कन्वीनर का नाम तय हो जाए वो कन्वीनर का नाम तय नहीं हुआ और नाम पर भी उनके मतभेद थे ठीक है कि अंत में उन्होंने भी अपनी स्वीकृति दे दी होगी लेकिन वो खुश नहीं थे
We all are accepted the name and it took all the partners in Team India had as opposition leaders when they met previous time in Patna thought that there should be a name for the coalition. I don't think that Nitish ji is a very senior leader and he is one of the main architects of this opposition unity itself and because we think that gossip stories are run to disturb Team India but Team India is united.
There are other contradictions. Of course, that was the confusion on the name, whether Nitish Kumar was miffed. But there are long-standing contradictions which seem to have just been papered over where the Alliance India is concerned, which once again puts the question, new name but old contradictions. Can India fill its own fault lines before it moves ahead where 2024 is concerned? One of those contradictions playing out in the state of West Bengal. India allied CPM and TMC are now at loggerheads after that meeting. After CPIM chief Sitaram Yechuri made it clear that his party will not align with the TMC in Bengal, the left also branded Mamata Banerjee a dictator. TMC has now come out proposing Mamata Banerjee's name as the Prime Minister's face for this alliance in case it gets the prerequisite numbers. Now another CPIM leader, Brinda Karat, took hitting out at the TMC for the Panchayat poll violence in Bengal. So the contradictions all very too obvious. Not just West Bengal. Let's look at now what's possibly can take place in the states of Delhi, Punjab, Haryana. Already we are hearing that the Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress regional units in Punjab going after each other. Let's listen in to all the reactions.
बंगाल में जो कांग्रेस का नेता है वो राहुल गांधी या सोनिया गांधी का खिलाफ जा सकता है अगर जाएगा तो उसको जगह पार्टी का बाहर होगा। अगर राहुल गांधी एग्रीमेंट करता है ন্যাশনাল লেভেল में ये सब मान के ही चलेंगे।
পশ্চিমবঙ্গে হিংসা নয়, এই হিংসাটা হচ্ছে ঠিক যে যে রাজ্যে সিপিএম ক্ষমতায় ছিল, দেখা যাবে ত্রিপুরায় গন্ডগোল আছে, আমাদের রাজ্যে গন্ডগোল আছে এবং কেরালায় গন্ডগোল আছে, ঠিক সেই তিনটে রাজ্যেই আরে আম গাছের বীজ পুঁতলে আম হবে, জাম গাছের বীজ পুঁতলে জাম হবে, আর বিষ গাছের বীজ পুঁতলে বিষ হবে। তারাই এই রাজ্যেতে যে অশান্তি জন্ম দিয়ে গেছে, যে সন্ত্রাস জন্ম দিয়ে গেছে।
Till a few days ago, you were protesting against the TMC government because of the panchayat elections. Do you call that democratic today?
No. In fact, I've gone on record to say that. I mean, that in Bengal, take for instance in Kerala, it will be the Congress-led front versus the CPM-led front. I mean, that is what it will be. I mean, because of that situation, the BJP doesn't even get a single MLA elected. Yes. Likewise in Bengal, it will be that Congress, secular forces and the left together will be taking on both the BJP and the TMC.
You mean to say that this state possibility is still there? It's a very critical state. It's bread and butter for Mamata Banerjee. There will be a three-pole fight in Bengal where TMC, which is part of this alliance, will be a rival.
That is what it was in the panchayat election. Recently, even now the elections are not concluded. The court has still got to pass its verdicts on many of the things that it is examining. So that will be, that's what I said, state level, you see, there are problems that will be there. And they inherently, they always were.
टीएमसी के खिलाफ और टीएमसी की तानाशाही रुख जो बंगाल में दिखाई दिया है पूरे पंचायत के चुनाव में, जिसके आधार पर 7 लोगों की मृत्यु हुई, वो बंगाल की हकीकत है। तो हर प्रदेश की अलग अलग राजनीतिक संतुलन और राजनीतिक शक्तियां हैं। तो बंगाल के अंदर ये जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बचाने का, जनवाद बचाने का, धर्मनिरपेक्षता को बचाने की जो परिस्थिति है, वो बंगाल की ही आधार पर तय होगा। तो बंगाल में जो हमारी पार्टी है, बंगाल जो हमारे साथी हैं, उनके साथ बातचीत करके वो ही तय करेंगे। लेकिन मैं ये कह सकती हूँ कि जनवाद के ऊपर हमले करके आप जनवाद की रक्षक के नाम पर खड़े होंगे, उसकी बहुत कम क्रेडिबिलिटी है।
All right, let's cut across to our consulting editor Rajdeep Sardesai in the studio with us, trying to make sense of what lies ahead of this new alliance, India. Well, one of the issues, Rajdeep, would be that tomorrow would be the litmus test, monsoon session. Will they be able to come together in unity, where the monsoon session and the 21 bills, one of them most important, the ordinance bill. But do you see India filling the fault lines before it actually moves ahead? Elephant in the room, who's going to be the leader of the pack? Number 2, regional differences, state by state.
Look, this is work in progress, and what you saw in Bengaluru is incremental. Finding a name, frankly, Preeti, was the easiest thing to do. The challenges will be some of the questions you mentioned. Who will be captain of Team India? When I asked this to Sitaram Yechuri a short while ago, he said, recall, you asked me the same question in 2004. We chose our captain after the election. I said, at that time, your alliance itself was post-poll. Now you're talking about pre-poll alliance. That was a post-poll understanding. So there's the question of the captain. Then there are state-wise issues. How do you reconcile local state conflicts with your national ambitions? Mr. Yechuri and Mamata Banerjee were in the same room barely days after their 2 units in Bengal were engaged in a bloody conflict in the panchayat polls. It's one thing for Arvind Kejriwal and the Congress to come to some understanding in Bengaluru. How will it play out in Punjab and in Delhi? In Punjab, local congressmen claim the AAP is targeting them. So I think these are really tough issues that will have to be resolved. What they've done at the moment, Preeti, is really caught the low-hanging fruit and thereby tried to create a narrative using this name India that we are all coming together. The real challenges lie ahead in framing an agenda and then importantly in finding a way to actually share seats.
You know, two questions, Rajdeep. Seat sharing. You know, one thing which was made very clear by certain leaders, even in this meeting yesterday, and the likes of Arvind Kejriwal or possibly even Mamta Banerjee echoed it, is it's too late now for seat sharing. This should have happened much earlier. You're what? Less than a year away from elections. Also, the second big question. Okay, we talk about that's for later, that's the long run. The short run of it, the shortcoming will start tomorrow, monsoon session. Will the Congress in spirit sit in where even the ordinance is concerned? Will it stage a walkout? That would mean it's supporting the BJP.
No, what I gather, the Congress is going to fully support the Aam Aadmi Party on the ordinance issue. I think that's been made more than clear, and that was one of the reasons why AAP was there in Bengaluru. I think that level of understanding will take place. Seat sharing also, let's be clear, Preeti, out of the 543 seats, there are only a few states where these alliances, this opposition alliance has serious contradictions. Bengal is one, Punjab is another, possibly some would say in Uttar Pradesh, how will Samajwadi Party and the Congress and the RLD work out a deal? But they are...
Maharashtra?
Maharashtra, look, there's a Mahavikas Aghadi already in place. So, I mean, for the Mahavikas Aghadi to work out will be an understanding maybe more difficult in a Vidhan Sabha than in a Lok Sabha. So, I think the seat sharing will be troublesome in certain states. The bigger challenge is framing a narrative and agenda where people believe that this grouping actually can offer a stable, cohesive alternative to Mr. Modi. You heard Mr. Modi yesterday, right through his speech, he was basically saying this alliance is saying, Modi hatao, main kehta hu, desh badhao. How are you going to be able to challenge that? I think that is the bigger question before this alliance. And Preeti, the fact which you mentioned in one of your stories, that increasingly the Congress has become the pivot of the alliance. And when the Congress becomes the pivot of the alliance, how will all regional parties and a party like AAP deal with the Congress? That big brother attitude, will that now slowly sort of metamorphose into an element of flexibility? You know, these are all questions that are there.
Rajiv, one quick question before we let you go. Another thing that the Prime Minister said, paas aa sakte hain, par saath nahi aa sakte, and that is actually playing out in a lot of ways since the course of the day. I want to, for you to very briefly touch upon the curious case of Nitish Kumar. Nitish Kumar, along with his own party people, along with the RJD, which is Lalu and Tejashwi, inconspicuously missing where the meeting was concerned yesterday. Clearly, he's miffed. He wanted to be the Sutradhar, maybe being already announced as the convener of this alliance. All of that has not been given to him.
Look, who will be the convener is just one of the many questions that confronts this alliance. And I think one of the reasons why that's happened is precisely what I just said, is the Congress has now become the pivot of the alliance. And I think Nitish also, beyond a point, recognizes that. But Nitish Kumar would like a greater place, a say within this coalition. I don't think Nitish has any option at the moment, given the fact that he himself was the one who initiated this move. But that's precisely where the challenge for the Congress is. Traditionally, when the Congress gets momentum, it tends to run roughshod over regional parties. This time, the Congress is going to, at best, be a first among equals. In Bihar, for example, it's party number 3. In Maharashtra today, it's party number 4. Does the Congress recognize its limitations and work within them, where they are strong, where they are in a direct fight with the BJP, in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, as we saw now in Karnataka and Himachal? Please fight and get the opposition, other opposition members to support you. But don't be conscious of, but also be conscious of the fact that in certain states, you're not as strong as you think you are. So you can't contest 400 seats anymore. The first sign of change will be if the Congress is willing to lower its expectations and say, okay, we will fight 250 seats and try and win half of them. That is the Congress's challenge. Is it willing to do that? If it is, then game on. If it's not, then I don't see what this India alliance really does.
Well, all right, Rajdeep, appreciate you joining us. On the other side, we're going to be joined by certain political leaders who were there at the meeting, giving us the inside track on how the name India came about, who all disagreed, and is Nitish Kumar really upset? All of that, all the juice of what went out in the meeting. A quick break. Stay with us. On the other side is To The Point.
standing walking on the ring road, you can see there's only water, water and water everywhere.
What could have been done to provide proper facilities to the people who have been affected by the Yamuna flood?
How long will it take for normalcy to return to Delhi?
The national capital now finding itself virtually submerged in water.
Grounded in journalism, on the ground reporting, in the water reporting, only on India Today TV.
India's digital public infrastructure, which is also the UPI that they call the Unified Payment Interface, and also CBDC, which is the central bank's digital currency. Do you see South Africa collaborating with India on this in the future? Singapore, Indonesia?
Part of the discussion in the BRICS is that payment system. So South Africa will definitely be collaborating with India through that, but I think we've got to move beyond that, go at a bilateral level.
What have been the key outcomes of the discussion so far?
I think the broad discussions around of partner interest to developing nations, debt restructuring are progressing very well. We've got, in terms of a common framework, we've done Zambia now, we're waiting for an MOU. We expect an appointment of another creditors team to look at Ghana, which is quite an important development for us. The second issue is the evolution of the Multinational Development Bank and the banks to structure them in such a manner that they can take the development challenges facing our nations in the 21st.
This woman from Kazakhstan has made it her life's mission to help underprivileged children. Anna started an NGO during COVID-19 to educate children in Jaipur who can't afford going to school. Anna's NGO, called Indian Women Impact, has been at it for 3 years now, changing the lives of so many children for the better. Acting as a bridge for children from less privileged families. She offers quality coaching alongside her team of committed teachers.
The children, those who live in Basti, they go to a government school and they come here for study. To get extra knowledge, my parents live in a Basti and they cannot afford expensive course and school for me and my brother and sister. So sir, we come here and study all of those subjects.
Recently, some of the NGO students from disadvantaged backgrounds also performed a French play at the famed National School of Drama in Delhi. Anna and her husband, who is a doctor, use all of their earnings to try to maintain the NGO.
It's been 3 years as we have been running this NGO, Indian Women Impact, and the entire concept is to provide the quality, world-class education to the children from underprivileged backgrounds. And the dream we have is to create the school that can accommodate 5,000 students from such backgrounds, where we can compete with a world-class education. That's the dream.
At this Jaipur-based NGO, students from different backgrounds come together to get an opportunity to achieve all these dreams.
At the NGO, Anna and her group of dedicated teachers try to provide wings to dreams of underprivileged students who earlier had little or no avenues to fulfill their aspirations. Once they come over here, they leave their less than perfect backgrounds behind to get submerged into a world of creativity, of learning and of dreaming big. With camera person Manish Devankur Vadhavan in Jaipur for India Today.
36 parties on one side with the opposition and 38 parties, big and small, with the BJP. Is it true that basically this is a BJP alliance? All of you are only there as smaller parties. It will be driven completely by BJP, by Amit Shah and Narendra Modi. And on the other side, you've got a Congress-led alliance. Chirag Paswan, 2024, battle of the alliances, who will win?
As I said, Rajdeep ji, it's not, it's about everyone coming in together. It's like a collective responsibility. It's everyone contributing for a common goal, for a common agenda. So I'll not say that it's just one party leading it all. I think it's a collective responsibility, whether it's on the Mahagathbandhan side, whether it's on the NDA side. I think everyone contributes, and there's a saying in Hindi ki boond boond se sagar banta hai. So I think everybody's got their own bit to contribute.
Now, the reason I asked you, because till the other day the BJP seemed to have forgotten all their NDA allies. Suddenly they are remembering the NDA allies. Chunav aa gaye to aapki yaad aa gayi.
So was the case with UP also. And let's be very honest, I think this is how the politics of alliances work. You know, alliances are made most of the time near the elections only. You strengthen your alliances during elections, not that you don't remember them for the rest of the years. Yes, there are times and there are alliances which who don't remember their allies for the rest 5-4 years, and then they remember them during elections. But having said it all, I think this is how the politics of alliance works. I think the same goes for UPA also. You call it UPA, you call it Mahagathbandhan. These alliances are, I think during election time, everybody wants to strengthen their alliances.
Greece closed its ancient Acropolis during the hottest part of the day on Friday to protect tourists from temperatures which soared past 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And in Italy, meteorologists are calling the next phase of the heat wave Charon, a reference to the ferryman of the souls of the dead in Greek mythology. So, just how bad is it? The European Space Agency, whose satellites monitor land and sea temperatures, warned that Italy, Spain, France, Germany, and Poland all face extreme conditions. Temperatures could break Europe's current record, 119 degrees Fahrenheit, recorded in Sicily in August 2021. The impact from extreme summer heat has been brought into focus by a new study. It says as many as 61,000 people may have died from the sweltering heat across Europe last summer. Record temperatures are expected in parts of southern Europe next week. Johan Ballister is a professor at the Barcelona Institute for Global Health. He says France has learned lessons from a deadly 2003 heat wave that others should follow.
Hi ha mesures que són relativament barates, com per exemple coordinar.
There are measures that are relatively cheap, like, for example, coordinating public entities. Also, doing a census of vulnerable populations and coordinating them through public services can be relatively cheap.
Però hi ha mesures molt més cares, com per exemple el redisseny de les ciutats.
But there are much more expensive measures, like, for example, the redesign of cities to improve housing conditions.
Doctors say poorer, elderly people with existing health problems are most at risk. Angel Abad is from the Office of Sustainable Development at Madrid's La Paz Hospital.
Most have a low socioeconomic background, and we know that in these cases, people who don't have air conditioning are more vulnerable. They face a higher risk and higher mortality upon arriving at an emergency ward.
SBI Mutual Fund, a partner for life.
UBI, अच्छे लोग अच्छा बैंक।
The India conundrum. New name, old contradictions. Can New Alliance conquer internal strife before 2024? Who will lead the alliance? Is it too late for seat-sharing formula? Internal rivalries in key states. Acrimony over internal alliance hierarchy. India's first test, unity in monsoon session. Can India fill internal fault lines first?
Good evening, you're watching To The Point. I'm Preeti Chaudhary. Over the next 20 minutes, we're going to break down what are the internal contradictions of the new alliance India. New name, old contradictions that still exist, especially when you go state by state, region by region. Over the course of the next 20 minutes, we are going to get key leaders of the opposition parties who are part of the alliance answering questions on how this alliance is going to paper over all the differences that still remain when it comes down to Alliance India. State rivalries, who's going to head the alliance? Monsoon session, will they be able to come together? With all the contradictions, can they actually pull through 2024? And is it too late right now for key developments like seat sharing? All of that. I spoke to Raghav Chadha, Rajya Sabha MP, who was in the meeting yesterday in Bengaluru when the name was formulated and all the discussions there. Privy to that. Over to that conversation. Rajya Sabha MP, Aam Aadmi Party leader Raghav Chadha joining us right now, coming freshly at the back of attending, Mr. Chadha, the all-big opposition meet which took place in Bengaluru yesterday. Well, congratulations on India, but with a bunch of contradictions that are emerging, Mr. Chadha, do you see this sustained till 2024?
Well, I think it's a great beginning that political leaders and political parties have realized what the people of India want, and it is upon the call given by the people of India that all these political parties have come together under one banner. And in the first phase, the first official announcement of this group is the unveiling of a beautiful name. The name is India, which stands for Indian National Developmental Inclusive Alliance, an alliance in which all 135 crore population of India comes under. That's one banner under which people cutting across cultures, language, caste, creed, socio-economic backgrounds come together. And to sum it up, let me say this, that whenever India fights against somebody, India wins and the enemy loses. And this time in the year 2024 also, when India is up against a challenger, the challenger will lose and India will, as always, win.
Mr. Chadha, the fact is you talk about this lovely name that has been coined for your alliance. But I want to ask you, because there seems to be a bit of confusion. Were all political parties on board, because you were there in this meeting? So I'm going to ask you, because you were privy to the conversation. Were they all bored on the name of India? Because now indications suggest that possibly Mr. Nitish Kumar from the JDU left parties were not very keen on the name India. Also, what D stood for, development or democratic? There was a bit of a disagreement on that as well.
What you call as disagreement, I call that as a very healthy conversation among people who are wanting to become partners in progress of the country. What happens in the room, Preeti, stays in the room. And I will abide by that principle. But let me say this, that ultimately the name that has been coined and put out was a name that was arrived at with complete unanimity, and everyone was at board. Where everyone was on board. Whenever decisions are taken in a big group, people have different suggestions and viewpoints. But the beauty of this whole thing lies in the process that is followed, about in which people are brought on board and either agree or are convinced about a particular idea. And I think this name is a great beginning.
Mr. Chadha, when we talk about the contradictions that are in the alliance, and I'm sure, you're privy to it, and possibly, different ideologies coming together, something which was made very clear even during your meeting by various leaders in the press conferences, that you come together for a larger good. But I just want to, touch upon those contradictions, and I want to ask you, through the course of the day today, you already have left parties calling Mamata Banerjee a dictator. You already have Mr. Sitaram Yechuri saying that in West Bengal, it's not going to be an alliance, but the TMC versus the left parties versus the Congress versus the BJP. So all of that is playing out, and that could very well play out in your own backyard.
Preeti, let me tell you that this group or formation that has come together has given up on 3 M's. First is Manbhed, second is Matbhed, and the third is Mahtvakanksha. This 3 M's, the Manbhed, and Mahtvakanksha, these 3 M's have been given up by, I think, virtually all participants to come together for the greater good of the country, to save this country from price rise, inflation, unemployment, black money, so on and so forth, the several evils that have plagued India today and India's economy. And I think it is in that quest that these people have come together. Of course, there could be some contradictions here or there. Of course, there have been, a history between political parties in electoral battles. But at the end of the day, I feel this is one family, this is one parivar, where even if one sibling has some issues with the other, or there is a little bit of nick and knack or some sort of small quarrels between 2 members of a family, but when the family is attacked, all the members come together to protect the family. And the name of this family is India. When this India family gets attacked, everyone comes together to save India from these evils that I've just named. And I think it is in that spirit that people have come together. Of course, the minor contradictions that you may see from time to time will be dealt with in days and times to come.
Mr. Chadha, you talk about how it's a parivar, it's a family, but sir, the fact is the composition or the formation of this parivar was not very organic. But that aside, you're together now, but those contradictions that I speak of, and I will bring in, which will exist for the Aam Aadmi Party vis-a-vis the Congress. 7 seats, Lok Sabha seats in the national capital, 13 in Punjab, 1 of Chandigarh, 10 in Haryana, where you want to make inroads. How do you propose, to possibly transgress this minefield of sorts where Congress is concerned, come Lok Sabha ticket distribution?
Well, these are conversations that will most certainly not happen on camera. These are conversations that will have, once the time for those conversations comes. I think everything is happening in a very phased manner, in a phase-wise manner. First the announcement of the names, then subsequently, of course, announcement and chalking of key issues that will be taken to the people, then the modus operandi of how to bring those issues before the people, then of course seat-related conversations will happen. I think there is a process that will be followed, and I am hoping that the process will be followed and good results will come out. It would be too early for me to comment on any such thing, and any which way, these are discussions that must happen in closed doors and not on camera, I feel.
Mr. Chadha, I totally get your point, because these are things for the longer run, but maybe something that you might be able to comment on is what we'll see play out from tomorrow. You've been given a promise by the Congress that they are going to support you where the Delhi ordinance is concerned in Parliament. Do you see the monsoon session being the true litmus test of the India alliance? Do you hope that the Congress, in terms of will put its money where its mouth is, not abstain, not walk out, but sit with you and vote alongside the Aam Aadmi parties in Rajya Sabha when the bill is tabled?
Look, my leader, Mr. Kejriwal, has said this time and again, that this Delhi ordinance, when it is introduced in the parliament, is going to be the semi-final. If we win this semi-final, it is only then that you qualify for the final, which is the 2024 Lok Sabha. In order to contest in the final, it is absolutely certain and important and critical that you win the semi-final first. And this Delhi ordinance is the semi-final. Everyone, all political parties who wish to protect India's constitution, they wish to save India's democracy, and wish to uphold India's federal structure are coming together under one banner to defeat this Delhi ordinance. And I am hoping and praying that this anti-national legislation, that is the Delhi ordinance, and I say this with full responsibility, this anti-national legislation, that is the Delhi ordinance, gets defeated, and then only this semi-final will be cleared and all of us will graduate and qualify for the finals.
When it comes down to leading the alliance, aspirations, understandably, your political parties will be there. There will be the TMC wanting to take centre court, and I'm sure those aspirations are harboured for your own leader, Arvind Kejriwal, as well, especially where you and your cadre is concerned. Do you see the Congress taking the pivot position? Do you see the parties like you step aside and let Congress lead this front?
Look, I have for a very long time, Preeti, believed that issues matter in elections and people vote on issues. It just so happens that these days in elections, these issues are articulated by one prominent leader of a political party, and that issue get associated with the leader, or those issues or set of issues get associated with that leader, and that leader then of course becomes a rallying point. That doesn't necessarily mean that issues take a back seat. It is always the issues that matter the most in an election, and I do feel that even this time it's the issues that will be taken to the people. There could be several messengers for these issues. It need not be one messenger. These issues will be taken to the people and the people will vote on the issues. But yes, since you do mention a particular style of campaign that's going on in this country, I must say that those who used to say Modi versus who, or used to often raise this question about BJP contesting against whom, today we've got that answer. Today it's Modi versus India or BJP versus India, and whenever India is put up against a challenger, it is only India that wins always. And I hope even in 2024 it is India that will win and all other forces will lose.
All right, so till now, neither political party which was present there is actually addressing the elephant in the room. How are they going to go ahead where seat sharing is concerned? Is it a tad bit too late for seat sharing? Also, on the name of India, a lot of confusion since the course of the morning. It seems left parties or even Nitish Kumar were not on board with the name India is concerned. Nitish Kumar, the curious case of the leader, a little more miffed because he, who thought himself as the Sutradhar of the entire opposition unity saga, maybe sidelined, and the Congress edging him on the other side, not taken too well by Nitish Kumar. These are questions that are being raised. Let me put these questions to Mr. D. Raja from the CPI, who's joining us. He was there yesterday, present at that meeting. Appreciate you joining us, Mr. Raja. My first question, sir, will you comment a little on the confusion, the contradiction that is coming on the name chosen as India? Now, we have been given to believe by sources within your own party, other left parties, as well as the JDU, that possibly it wasn't the choice of the JDU or left parties. However, you had to submit to a larger consensus. Also, where D of India is concerned, many of you wanted that to be democratic instead of developmental.
No, the question is, there was a discussion, what should be the name of this formation? Many suggestions came. Everybody has said the idea of India should have reflection in the name. The name should communicate, convey the message of idea of India, which was envisioned by Gandhi, Ambedkar and galaxy of leaders. Now that idea of India is being destroyed, so the name for this formation should reflect that idea of India, how we can do it. That was the discussion. Then many suggestions came. Everybody gave some suggestion, some ideas. Finally, this emerged. That is India. That is India National Developmental Inclusive Alliance. That was how that name was agreed upon and decided. During discussion, several names were considered. I don't deny. Several names were considered. We Are for India name was considered. Indian People's Front was considered. People's Progressive Alliance was considered. And Secular Democratic Alliance or Front, it was discussed. Save India Front was discussed. So several names were discussed. Finally, this has emerged as the acceptable one, and that is how the name was decided.
Mr. Raja, was it acceptable to both left parties and Nitish Kumar? Because, of course, Mr. Kumar has said it's a figment of possibly the media's imagination or agenda by the BJP that is running, that he wasn't happy with the word. But the sheer fact that he and his party leaders were missing, they were not there for the follow-up press meet, even RJD's Lalu Yadav or his son Tejasvi, they were also missing. So was there an issue which was put forth where the name was concerned by the left parties or possibly Mr. Kumar?
No, what do you mean by objection? Yes, Mr. Nitish Kumar is Chief Minister of Bihar, one of these. I do not know what you mean that Nitish Kumar objected to. You must ask him better, because he suggested some name, that is true, but it was discussed. Finally, we have to move on the basis of consensus, and people had consensus on the present name. That's what one should try to understand, instead of some kind of rubbing it and raising some objections or creating some confusions. That's what I have to say.
Interesting, Mr. Raja, because you are suggesting that, of course, there was a larger consensus and Mr. Kumar had to submit to it. He had a choice of a different name, but that didn't quite go ahead. And we will, of course, we have asked Mr. Nitish Kumar whether he is a little cut up or unhappy with the way things unfolded, especially with the lack of his presence at the press meet. But having said that, Mr. Raja, I want to bring up the other big contradiction, and possibly that stems from your own parties, which is the left front. You have Mr. Yechuri, who's come out and said very clearly, where a state like West Bengal is concerned, there will be no alliance there. It's going to be left plus Congress facing off with the TMC versus the Bharatiya Janata Party. So no alliance in the state of West Bengal. A possible scenario could play out in a state of Punjab. Maharashtra, there is a Mahavikas Aghadi, but things are very, very different there. So do you see this a bunch of contradictions, and can they actually be solved?
I am making it very clear. At national level, there is a common understanding that has been emerging. After Karnataka elections, there was a meeting at Patna on 23rd June this year, and Mr. Nitish Kumar took the initiative to bring people there and discuss the issue. Almost 16 party leaders were there. What emerged there in the Patna meeting, that all of us should work together, unitedly fight to defeat BJP in order to save India and its future, save constitution, democracy, secularism, federalism. That is how we all agreed upon Desh Bachao, BJP Atao. That was at Patna. Now Bengaluru meeting, yesterday and day before yesterday. So that Bengaluru meeting in fact became one step or two steps forward from Patna, because 26 parties, the top leaders of those parties were present in the meeting, and the meeting discussed several critical issues that country is facing today, confronting today. That is how that joint statement has been discussed and issued. That joint statement you must have seen. Then the name was discussed and the name was agreed finally after long serious discussion. Now the question is, at national level, the primary objective is to defeat BJP in order to save the country. That is clear and all of us agree to it.
All right, Mr. Raja, appreciate you joining us. Thank you there. We're going to leave it at that. We're going to see how things play out. Most of the leaders who are present in the meeting, when we talk about the elephant in the room, who's going to head this alliance, say it's a matter of later deliberation, especially after the winter elections that are there. When you ask most of these leaders, what about seat sharing? They says it will happen in due course of time. Well, that due course of time, of course, running out, but the latest right now would be the biggest litmus test starts tomorrow, and that is the monsoon session. Can these 26 parties come together on those 21 bills that could be tabled during the 17 days of the monsoon session? That is the first test. A quick break. Stay with us. On the other side is Rahul Kanwal.
The report was a combination of a targeted misinformation and discredited allegations, the majority of them dating from 2004 to 2015. They were all settled by appropriate authorities at that time. This report was a deliberate and a malicious attempt aimed at damaging our reputations and generating profits through a short-term drive down our stock prices. Subsequently, despite a fully subscribed FPO, we decided to withdraw and return the money to our investors to protect their interest. While we promptly issue a comprehensive rebuttal, various vested interests try to exploit the claims made by the short seller. These entities encourage and promoted false narratives across various news and social media platforms. Consequently, the Honorable Supreme Court of India constituted an expert committee to look into this matter. The committee included individuals known for their independence and integrity. The report of the expert committee was made public in May 2023. The expert committee did not find any regulatory failure. The committee's report not only observed that the mitigating measures undertaken by your company helped rebuild confidence, but also cited that there were credible charges of targeted destabilization of the Indian markets.
Richard, I want to ask you, how far is 21,000 on the Nifty now?
Yeah, so I think markets would continue to achieve new milestones going ahead. What we are eyeing right now is 20,150. So ideally, as per technical analysis, whenever any stock or the index trades its all-time high, so it's a reciprocal retracement theory, which gives us the target projections or the next resistance projections. Now, 161.8% retracement of the previous correction that we saw in the Nifty then but the one which bottomed out around 16,800, that level is coming around 20,150. So I think as of now, for short-term perspective, maybe later half of this month or early next month, we would see 20,150 getting achieved. And yes, once that is surpassed, then 21,000 also would not be, it would not take much time.
So Ruchit, now tell us, how do investors make money at record high markets? What's the strategy that they should adopt right now?
So one should adopt a stock-specific strategy over here. See all the markets. If you see the broader markets, most of the sectors have participated in this upmove. So I think auto is one name where we have continuously witnessed a good momentum of late. So I think this trend is likely to continue going ahead. Escorts, Ashok Leyland, then Tata Motors. These are some of the names which would continue this outperformance.
Is it getting a bit frothy, or do you believe that the bull run is here to stay?
Yeah, I think first of all, thank you, Sakshi, for inviting me. I think the markets are, extremely buoyant, largely because of the liquidity flows which we are getting from the FIs. In fact, in the last few months, I think since April, since the market started rising, we have been seeing that Indian markets have attracted a lot of liquidity from these foreign institutional investors. And I think today we had hit a high of 19,800. After that, there was some profit booking. But my sense is that, if corporate results are better than expectations and, the Fed policy, which is due for July 25th, if there is some mild positive surprise in terms of the commentary from Mr. Powell, then I think the markets could head to higher odd levels. And I think we should not be surprised. The markets could possibly even look at touching 20,000 in the very near term. But I think it would be a gradual journey from here on.
What is the right way to approach the market right now? What should one do and what should one not do when the markets are at record levels?
See, I think for investors who have participated in this rally and have made a decent amount of profits, my suggestion is that, this is a very volatile market and we are going to see higher levels. But in the intermediate, it's always better to book your, book profits regularly because, that is how you can secure your margin of safety. So I think at least once your capital is recovered, then I think the investor is at ease, whatever index level the market throws up. So that strategy, I think investors should do. They should not stick only to paper profits. They should convert them to some cash flow. Secondly, for investors who want to enter the markets now, I think be careful about penny stocks and companies, which are not tried and tested. There are many companies which are, running into 52-week highs without any track record or balance sheet strength. So I think focus on quality, focus on the promoter and look at the sector. I think clearly the sectors which I mentioned are all sectors which probably could show very strong earnings growth for the next 6 to 12 months. So I think you need to be a little selective at this point of time to ensure that you get a decent alpha in the next 6 to 12 months.
Stevia, an artificial sweetener, is a plant derivative. Why is it being advised against? Is that the question on top of your mind? Well, that certainly is the question that many experts are asking.
Stevia being derived from a plant has generally been considered to be safer than the synthetic sweeteners. In fact, some studies show that stevia can help improve glucose tolerance. There are some studies which have shown that stevia can help lower blood sugar as well as blood pressure. So people who are consuming medications for diabetes or hypertension or are on diuretics must consult a professional or a doctor before consuming stevia, and they must also regularly monitor their levels.
It is to be noted that stevia falls in the category of sweeteners advised against by the World Body. But monk fruit extracts, which hardly is used in India, does not. Some experts say a blanket advisory was the need of the hour. Others do not agree.
Guideline has very clearly defined what is a non-sugar sweetener, and stevia is a part of it. So we cannot single out stevia. So there, as I said earlier, there are many non-sugar sweeteners. We very commonly used are aspartame and saccharin and now stevia, sucralose, all are part of the guideline. The evidence is studied for all of them. So stevia is equally harmful, I would say.
Some experts say some amount of confusion has been created with the new guidelines from the World Health Organization.
Stevia is a natural plant, right? It tastes like sugar but doesn't spike your glucose or insulin. So it's a safer alternative. As I said, it doesn't absorb in the body. It's secreted unchanged in the urine. So stevia doesn't really affect your body except that it gives you that taste of sugar that you need. But if we were to see stevia versus sugar, stevia will always win.
While some concerns around aspartame and other artificial sweeteners are justified, nutritionists worry it might mislead. Minimizing sugar intake and not using added sugars, getting processed foods out of the house and not putting it in your body but into the bin is what is really needed. In New Delhi with Sneha Mordani, Bureau Report, India Today.
Presented by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, Growing Legacies.
Co-presented by Century Ply Club Prime, Raho Befikar.
Co-presented by Macho Hind, Bade Aaram Se.
Co-powered by the new Kia Seltos, the badass reborn.
Co-powered by Sera. This is your space. Play it your way.
Evening and welcome. You're watching the news track. I'm Rahul Kamal. A woman hopelessly in love or a sinister Pakistani spy? Who is the real Seema Haider? A mysterious story that has India in its grip, and it's my top focus on the news track.
An India-Pakistan love story. Now under investigation. Did she cross over only for love? Or is Seema Haider a Pakistani spy? Unconventional love story or a spy saga? Big focus on News Track.
No one knows for sure, but everyone has an opinion and they all think they know for sure, but that's not the case at all. We'll get into the layers of this gripping story, get you the investigation from Sharjah, from Pakistan, from Pokhara in Nepal, and all through India. We'll trace the developments and bring you the latest updates. Here are the headlines today. Cracks appear in the united opposition. Left accuses the TMC of dictatorship in Bengal. Nitish Kumar denies reports of any rift. High drama in Karnataka. 10 BJP MLAs suspended and marshalled out of the assembly for protesting against the Congress deploying IAS officers at the opposition meeting in Bengaluru. Former CM Bommai is detained. Bengaluru terror module busted. 5 suspected terrorists arrested for plotting blasts across the city. Bomb-making material, weapons are recovered.
At least 16 killed and several injured after a transformer explodes at the Namami Gange project site in Uttarakhand's Chamoli. SDRF joins rescue operations. Fresh dangal over Vinesh Phogat and Bajrang Punia getting an exemption from Asian Games trials. Wrestler Antim Pangal moves the court, calls the direct qualification unfair to the other wrestlers. A PUBG love story, a cross-border relationship. The Seema Haider Sachin Meena saga seems to have captured India's imagination. Did Seema Haider really travel across 4 nations for the sake of love? Or is she a sinister Pakistani spy here as part of an ISI plot? On the news track tonight, we will try and decipher the mystery called Seema Haider.
From the virtual battlefields of PUBG, from Karachi in Pakistan to Rabupura in Greater Noida, via Kathmandu in Nepal. 27-year-old Seema Ghulam Haider's daring trek to marry her lover, 5 years younger, with her 4 children in tow. Now a subject of intense investigation.
दो राष्ट्रों के बीच जुड़ा हुआ है, इसमें जब तक पर्याप्त साक्ष्य नहीं मिल जाते कुछ भी कहना उचित नहीं। तो अगर हमारा बॉर्डर पोरस है और उसके लिए कोई पासपोर्ट की आवश्यकता नहीं है, तो इसलिए इस तरह की चीजें लेकिन एक पाकिस्तानी नागरिक नहीं, ये तो किसी के चेहरे पे तो कुछ लिखा नहीं।
Uttar Pradesh's anti-terror squad questioned the Pakistani woman sneaking into India via Nepal for 9 hours on Tuesday. Multiple agencies involved in cross-examining her claims. The Karachi-based Haider allegedly met Sachin Meena of Greater Noida a couple of years ago. Already married in 2014, her husband working in Saudi Arabia, she first met Meena in Nepal in March. Stayed with him in this hotel for a couple of days. Travelled to Nepal again in May. This time with her 4 children. She took a bus and crossed into India to reunite with her lover. Haider allegedly sold a property back in Karachi to fund her trip. But the investigating agencies aren't taking this story on its face value. Intriguing revelations tumble out of the ongoing probe. The Pakistani national holds not 1 but 2 passports. Number HZ0004421 and HZ0004422. Discrepancies found in her age and birth date. Pakistani authorities seem to have issued Seema Haider her national identity card in September 2022. These documents in general made available months after the birth. In her case, she got her Pakistani national identity less than a year ago. 2 passports in Pakistan. A bus from Pokhara to Uttar Pradesh to reach Greater Noida. Evading the keen eye of the Sashastra Seema Bal along the India-Nepal border. She carried all travel documents, but left one of the phones and a laptop she used in Pakistan behind. And when India Today spoke to her estranged husband, a laborer in Saudi Arabia, Ghulam Haider claimed Seema Haider's brother is a Pakistani border guard.
ये जो सीमा हैदर, इसके भाई का नाम आसिफ है ना? तो आसिफ कहाँ है अभी, किसमें कहाँ काम करते हैं?
इधर ड्यूटी है इसका, कोई रेंजर्स में है इधर कराची में।
क्या पाकिस्तान रेंजर्स में है, फौजी हैं? और इनके जो चाचा है सीमा के,
वो गुलाम अकबर, वो भी बड़े उधर में इस्लामाबाद में, पता नहीं होंगे।
कहाँ पे है?
इस्लामाबाद।
Seema Haider's speech, her language skills. A Pakistani woman from the Sindh province dressing up like a rural woman from India's Hindi heartland. Investigators are leaving nothing to chance. Agencies suspect that Pakistani handlers might have taken professional help to give Seema Haider a makeover in order for her to slip into India without detection. Seema Haider's purported affidavit from 2014 in India Today's possession. The woman in this document accused her parents of greed. She testified that she left her home to live with Ghulam Haider because her parents wanted to marry her off with someone else against her wishes. And now she has left Ghulam Haider for Sachin Meena in India. Out on bail, but not off the hook. Seema Haider, an unconventional lover, or a Pakistani spy out to set up base in Uttar Pradesh? Over to the investigating agencies to get to the bottom of her saga. With Arvind Ojha, Bureau Report, India Today.
It's one of those sagas where everyone in our newsroom, people in every home, in every office, they all have an opinion. They're all convinced they know. No one knows for sure, but they still think they do. Joining me on this broadcast, I want to welcome some of our reporters and some officials who've been in different agencies. I want to start by welcoming our crime editor, Shams Tahir Khan, joining me on the news track.